What's up, everybody? It's Greg with Delta, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life and in your business with coaching on sales, leadership, mindset, marketing, everything under the sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. We bring on guest speakers. Today, I've got the honor and pleasure of welcoming a very good friend of mine that I met over the Badass Business Summit Conference, Miss Laura Hamilton. What's up, Laura? How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So, if for those of you that are not watching or only listening, I met Laura of the Badass Business Summit, and so she is jacked. She walked up to me like she was like, "Hey, like we gotta talk," kind of. And I was like, "Man, you got some guns on you, girl." So for those of you that don't know Laura, she is a no bullshit nutrition coach here to empower you to food freedom and weight loss your way. She founded Empower. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
You're damn right.
Okay. She founded Empower Nutrition to be the difference when it comes to losing weight. You see, she spent the majority of her life constantly dieting, trying to lose weight and keep it off, using all of the big promises and fast fixes, often popular diets that claimed, only to find out they were likely the reason that she was failing over and over again. And she became obsessed and ended up becoming a registered dietitian. And after spending years gathering data, she's finally found her secret to success. Once she stopped doing those things and worked for others and focused only on what worked for her, she never had to look back. And now she has a way for everyone else to do the same. She helps people learn how to lose weight while living their life. No more hard to follow unsustainable methods. You get to choose the food and fitness that make you feel your best while achieving results. She focuses on progress over perfection, and there is never a perfect time to start a weight loss journey. So why not start one that fits you here and now? Fantastic. I freaking love that. That's an awesome bio. I'm going to tell you, if there's anybody that you want to take nutrition advice for, it's definitely Laura. She walks the walk. So you can definitely tell that she follows her own advice and she has the results to prove it.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, going through all that as I was growing up, having every experience you could possibly think of, I think in terms of growing up overweight, overcoming that sort of but never actually really getting it. I always felt like I had to do the thing I never really wanted to do. And then slowly over time, we'll probably get into more of it, of course, but it's so crucial that you do what you want to do and you have that autonomy, in my opinion, because if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to keep doing it. And the only way to keep the results that you get is to keep doing the damn thing. So, yeah, I mean, I do as I say and do as I do.
How do you feel about the word diet?
Oh, I'm okay with it. I mean, it has a lot of maybe stigma, but I mean, our diet is what we eat. Yeah. So you choose how you want to diet.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know a lot of people have like a negative connotation. It's almost like a 4-letter word. I try not to use the word diet too much with my clients. It's more nutrition. It's just like, hey, how are we fueling our bodies? And I don't see it as like there's just this negative context around it. It's like, well, I don't want to be on a diet. Like it feels very restrictive, right? And then when you go in with that negative headspace, all of a sudden, like it's gonna be, you've already started on a negative footing, and so it makes it a lot harder to stay focused and disciplined when it comes to keeping sticking with the plan, right? Which it is. It's just a plan. It's a plan for weight loss, right? So I like that. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you talked about how you went through your own struggle, how you were having troubles with nutrition and eating and dieting. And it sounds like you had a yo-yo period until you're just like, you know what, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to figure this out and make it work for me. So break that out a little bit. Talk about your story.
All right. Well, how long do we have? So I'll give you some of the quicker version. So I would say when I was in second grade, I went to a Catholic school and I was, in K through 6. And we're wearing our uniforms and I look down, I can see like my little belly like protruding in my little, uniform. And that was the first time I realized that I was bigger than other kids, especially all the boys in my class, some of the girls. And it really, like, I noticed it, but I didn't really, I don't know, it's in second grade. I didn't really know. And then when I was in sixth grade, going into middle school, I really started noticing. I mean, that's when I started liking boys, and boys didn't like me. And it was just kind of like, wah, wah. So and then on top of that, I became friends with some of my best friends to this day, who were getting modeling pictures taken of them when they were in middle school, and I'm like, I feel like I need to make some changes in my life. I really didn't feel like I fit in. I felt just not. I didn't feel good about myself.
Yeah.
So the summer between middle school and high school, I just like went ham. I went and lost like 15, 20 pounds, not the right way. And what's funny is I was always active. I mean, I was playing sports since I could play sports.
Mm.
Always doing something active. It just was my eating that was a problem, and I never really could get a hang of it. So I crash dieted, and then from there on out, it was a constant battle to either be on a crash diet or just take a break. And I tried everything: Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, some other random fad diet things that were in my hometown of Syracuse, New York. And um, it was kind of awful. And I don't even think I really shared it with my friends. I feel like, they were all just fine, skinny, living their life, living their best life. And I was the one that was struggling all the time. And I don't think I ever really talked to them about it. So fast forward through college, same deal: crash diet, lose weight, gain some back, do it again, over and over. It's exhausting. But I was so obsessed with it because I was going to figure this out. There was no way I was not going to figure this out. And in hindsight, I mean, got my bachelor's degree in health science from SUNY Brockport. What the hell am I going to do with that? I didn't know. I didn't care. All I knew is that I was going to learn about anatomy. I was going to learn about nutrition a little bit, and I was going to start learning more about how I could help my own self. That's how obsessed I was. Who cares about your future career? I was like, I need to learn how to lose weight. So then I graduated with nothing to do with that, and I became a personal trainer. Moved down to Orlando, Florida, realized quickly that that was not the route that I wanted to take, and was kind of inundated with the bodybuilding scene down there.
Mhm.
And that was really interesting, really interesting. That's when I really put the pieces together that nutrition had such a fundamental part of your overall weight loss journey. I mean, you can't jump on a bodybuilding stage and not change how you eat. You can work out all day, but that nutrition is key. And so I went back to Syracuse and got my master's in nutrition, became a registered dietitian, and coincidentally, I was also at the heaviest at that time I had ever been. Stressful time. I had to move to a different city. You don't get paid in a registered or a dietetic internship that you have to go through before you become a registered dietitian, after you go to school.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I actually moved down to, I was in Philly at the time, and then I moved down to Atlanta with who's my now husband. And I got a job at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started putting the pieces together. I started really tracking how what I was doing was adding up. Like, how many workouts was I getting in a month? Can I beat it the next month? What kind of fruits and vegetables am I eating? Do I like what I'm eating? How much am I eating? Really just paying attention to the habits I was building.
So tracking, essentially.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. Something simple as tracking. I bet you had profound results, didn't it?
Yeah. But that's what I'm even more obsessed with now, is that it's the attention. So I believe in 3 key pillars of nutrition and health fundamentals. It's awareness. You got to know what you're doing.
Mm.
You have to know if you can do it, if you can keep it up, if you like it, what you can functionally do for a period of time. Then you also have to build habits around what you're doing, and then you stack them as you go. The easiest things first. Easiest fruit, lowest hanging fruit, grab that and keep it moving.
Mm.
And then you also have to have what I like to call a curious mindset. We all screw up. We all mess up. Life is not perfect. You have lots of things hitting you at all angles: kids, wives, husbands, sisters, brothers, cousins, friends, you name it. Like, there's always something that comes up and gets in your way of reaching any goal. And you have to be disciplined enough to say, okay, cool. What can I do to fix this? How can I make this better? Why didn't I go to the gym today? What am I going to do tomorrow? Instead of like, oh, I suck. I can't do this. The worst. I'm terrible. I can't ever do this. I like being that victim.
This is too hard. I quit.
Yeah, being a victim sucks. So, but you have to have that curious mind. So ask the question, learn about yourself. You know, we're
Yeah.
always learning. We're progress over perfection. We're always learning how to be a better human every single day if you
Yeah.
allow yourself.
Yeah.
So over the course of a couple of years, I really developed my core skills in that, and I really believe in data tracking. I think data and understanding what you're doing is fundamental to giving yourself freedom. I don't give diet plans. Don't believe in it. I
Mm.
think I don't know what the hell you want to eat tomorrow, and I don't know what you want to eat next week. But if you can learn how to understand what you eat and how it works against your goals, you're golden.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of things that you broke out there. The first thing I want to talk about is you noticed at a young age that you wanted to change, and you talked about the first time you lost weight. How you lost 15 pounds, and it was like the wrong way, right? And so, isn't it unique? This is more just an observation when it comes to personal development. Isn't it unique how it takes usually like a negative feeling of being lower than other people or lower than our highest potential self for us to kind of be like, you know what, I want to change, like for to drive that change instead of it, you know, like why isn't this taught? Why aren't we taught at a young age on how to eat properly in order to be the highest potential selves, be, to fuel us physically, to help us mentally? It takes for some, like the information's out there, but you have to really go out of your way in order to learn it, and it takes time. But it takes for usually almost always that I've seen, it takes for somebody to go through something negative. Either you had a bad upbringing, you got picked on. I was scrawny. I was a scrawny kid. It took for me to, always getting picked on as a walking beanpole, for me to be like, I want to go lift and start learning how to do that. And I did as an adult. But I just find that unique, right? Have you run into any? And it's almost like I think about the follow on, like how can we get people to start making change before they like say hit rock bottom or get to that negative headspace where they've like, you know what, I got to make a change now. How can we help people be more healthy quicker and get to them before it's a big issue in their life?
That is $1 million question because I mean, truthfully, what I think is funny about that is I do think a lot of good things come from negative experiences,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Cho-
We learn from mistakes.
right, right. It's a choice, and but I work with kids in my full time job all day long, and I'm not really working with the kids. I work with their parents,
Mhm.
and what happens is their parents don't. It's food is seemingly is the last thing people think about until they have to think about it.
Mhm.
We're not taught. I mean, when I grew up, I'm 42 for reference. Like when I grew up, no one health and nutrition was still kind of rolling in. Like we weren't really there yet on the
Mhm.
whole health and nutrition front. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger was just, rolling into all the hype in the media after the 80s. And I feel like it's a slow go. Now it feels like it's being slammed in everyone's face and nobody knows what to do with it. We're getting inundated with this and that and this study and that study and you can't do this, you should do this, you have to do this. And I'm like, you don't have to do all of those things,
Yeah.
some of those things, but I think there's so much now confusion too. So if and here's the other thing, if the prevention of our diseases is not a priority for our government, I would say. If it was, then people like me would make a lot more money than heart surgeons,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Or
I,
or pharmaceutical companies.
yeah, yeah.
Or
Or we can go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, and it astounds me. It astounds me. I think
yeah.
that the health and nutrition field is unfortunately just not prioritized like it should be, and it sucks.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things I think that are working against it in this. So one is you have from the time that we wake up to the time we go to sleep, how many ads do you see on TV, on billboards, while you're driving, on your phone, on your social media, just swiping? We're constantly being inundated with ads. And then if you look at the percentage of ads that are taking up the space, especially like on TV, radio is going to be anything that's concerning with the negative side of health and fitness, which is like fast food, drinking, alcohol, cigarettes, stuff like that. And then the pharmaceutical companies have the rest. It's like all of the ad space is like almost bought up by that. And so you look at it, it's like, well, it's all connected because they want you to eat that stuff
Hmm.
because then when you get sick, you're going to be on that medication. And they want you to continue to be on that medication. Right. And it really makes you start to wonder, like, I had a conversation with a guy yesterday, actually. It was a guy who's coming on and starting a program with me. And he was like, yeah, I got to wait to talk to my doctor because this, that, the other. And I said, "Well, is your doctor specialized in that specifically, or is he just like a general practitioner?" He was like, "Oh, he's just a general practitioner." I was like, "Well, here's my take." I was like, and I told him a story about when I was in the military. I used to be really skinny and I was running a lot, and then I went to my first deployment. I went from 170 to 250. Came back from deployment and I had to start running again because the Army, I have to take my PT test. So I got back into running shape, but I was still like 245, 250 and my knee just started killing me.
Mm.
And so I got to the point where my knee was hurting so bad that I kept going to the doctor. And the doctor initially put me on what's called profile, which is basically like, hey, he doesn't have to run because his knee's jacked up. And he was like, the doctor's telling me, if you don't like, you're not going to be able to run anymore. Like this is too bad for your knee. You're going to end up doing things to your knees. You're going to need a knee replacement. Right. And I was like, man, I was in my early 30s. I was like, I am too young for this shit. There's no way in hell that I gotta have to get a knee replacement. I'm like, yeah, I mean, my stuff's getting beat up in the military, doing PT all the time, stuff like that. But I'm still young. Like, no way. So I went on the outside and started doing my own research. And I found a company that actually their shoes specialize in people that have knee problems when running. And it's because of the gait. Your gait's off. And so I got some Newton shoes. And ever since I've never not had Newton shoes for running, but they focus on forefoot striking so
Hmm.
that you have more of a bounce and you're not pounding by hitting your heel. Which if you and it shows all these videos on the website where they did like a certain capture camera and they slowed it down and they did zoomed in and you can see when someone's running heel toe, like most people, you could see like from the heel all the way up the shin, you could see this ripple that's like a wave going up and stopping at the knee. And it's like basically your knee's going to take all that pain. So got those shoes, started running with them. Knee pain went away. The
Interesting.
doctor, the doctor didn't recommend that to me. I was like, just so you know, like I'm not saying your doctor's a bad guy, and I'm not saying that all doctors are bad guys. I'm just saying that like a lot of times, if they don't know the answer, they're like, you need to stay away from that. And that's just going to be the overarching like, hey, the best thing is just to stay away from it because it's you're going to get further injured, right?
Mm.
And so I was like, dude, just take it with a grain of salt, man. Like, take it like your body. There's probably going to be another way around it. And also, like, if they're just shoving pills down your throat, like, hey, just take this. I'd also question that. Like, that's just me. So
Well, I mean, I think it's hard for doctors because they have 15 minutes.
yeah,
You're gonna do like I can't talk to someone for 15 minutes and get anywhere. I'm like barely like I know their names of their kids in 15 minutes, and that's really all we got.
yeah,
So, I mean, I don't know. Nothing in that system is really set up for success. And that's why a lot of doctors are going out and doing their own thing in their own practice. That's why I do my own thing in my own practice because I cannot do what I would like to do as a dietitian for a hospital. I can't treat my own patients the way I would clients, patients, whatever you want to call it. I cannot treat them the way that I feel like they deserve because I
yeah,
don't have time, the resources, the anything. I mean, it's ludicrous. I mean, I talk to families for a half an hour and I barely get anywhere. Barely get anywhere. and then I can't follow up with them because rules of insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sucks. So good. I got 30 minutes in and because nutrition and fitness and all that and health is a convoluted, complex story every single time you talk with somebody, right? I mean, I bet that guy has a whole history of things that he's gone through and things that he's tried and things that he's done, and his family is this and he has that. He has 12 million problems
Hmm.
and he's looking for a solution, but it's not a wham bam thank you ma'am. It's a, okay, well, where are you coming from? Here's how I can help, and do you feel like this is going to fit? And what else do we got to think about? Because a half an hour is just not enough. An hour is not enough time to understand somebody, where they're coming from, what they need, how their experiences have led them to this place. Because most of the time, people who I talk, especially in the beginning when I don't know them at all, when I ask them to, I usually ask people to keep a food record
Hmm.
so I can see what they've been eating, and they will give me their best version. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
do that shit. I do. Can I swear?
Yeah.
I do not want to see that shit. The reason why we are talking is because there are things you are doing that are bringing you to this conversation. And I
Yeah.
want to know. And I don't, it's not because I want to judge you.
Yeah.
My goal is to help you understand what you're doing so that you can make real time decisions on how you want to move forward.
Yeah.
I don't know if you don't even know what that is, you're not even owning it. How are we going to move forward?
Exactly. Something as simple as just tracking your food and what you put in your mouth every day is super eye opening, and it's the hardest thing that everyone avoids. And you know why you're avoiding it? Because you know you're eating too much shit, and you know you're gonna look at those numbers. You'd be like, "Wow, that's a lot of carbs and fats. That's like super high fats, moderate amount of carbs, and very little protein." That's why. That's why I'm not in the space where I'm supposed to be. It's why I'm unhealthy, right? And you don't want to have it, because you can't lie. Numbers can't lie. I can't
Yeah.
tell you how many conversations I've had where someone will tell me we'll get on the phone and we'll do it's like the first discussion, kind of a discovery to see if they would be a good fit for my program, and I'm finding out their height and their weight, and I instantly calculate their BMI. And there's a mathematical equation for all you that are listening. If you don't know, it's very simple. You just take their weight, you multiply it by 705, then you divide that number by the height in inches twice, and then the number comes out that's their BMI. So anything that's over 32 BMI is considered obese. That's medically like that's the number for obesity. So now BMI is not a direct correlation to body fat, but if someone's in the obese, I can tell you that they're unhealthy. If they're at 32 or above, they're unhealthy, right? And I can't tell you the times I've gotten people on the phone and they give me their height, weight, and I'm like, "Oh man, you're 36 BMI. Okay, all right, so we got some work to do. Talk me through your day in the life of your diet." And they're like, "Oh, I eat pretty good. I have some eggs and a little bit of bacon and some toast, and then in the afternoon, all I have is like some salad, and then in the evening, my wife cooks this, that, the other, and it's just like a." And I'm like, "Okay, can we let's back up real quick. I'm going to start this. I need you to be 100% truthful, because that was the biggest crock of shit that you didn't get to 36 BMI by eating that. You just didn't. 100% you did not. So there's something else that's there. You need to be actually telling me, like, what's the actual thing that you're eating on a daily basis." And every single time, I would say 80% of the time people will say that. And they're like, "No, no, no, I'm good. I'm eating pretty good." No, you're not eating pretty good. You're eating terribly. And that's why you're where you're at. Let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they'll be like, I'm so good, like Monday through Friday. I'm like on it, I'm like, I'm meal prepping and doing all this stuff. And the weekend hits and I just don't know what I need to do. Like maybe I need to, like go to the gym more often in the week, but I'm already going like 5 times. And, I'm bringing my lunch to work with me, and then we're cooking at home, but I don't know what else to do. I'm like, I feel like you might have answered your own question there. Like, what? What do you mean? Well, you said, but the weekends. What about the weekends? What are we doing on the weekends? Like, oh, it's not that bad. I mean, like, I don't think it's that bad. So it's got to be something during the week. No, it's not. If you're paying that much attention to your Monday through Friday, your weekends need some work, my friend. But
Yeah.
let's like dig in like in all of the layers. But really what it is, people's egos are way too inflated to check themselves.
Mhm.
We do not want to be wrong. We want to be right. We don't want to do anything bad. If people ask me one more time, can I eat this food? I'm like, I do not care if you eat this food or that food or whatever food. Is it good or is it bad? It's a food. And if you eat too much of it, no matter what it is, it's probably not going to be great for you. But it can be so much more simple than everyone's making it out to be.
Yeah.
What are you eating? Do you have any fruits and vegetables in there? What's your protein looking like? And do you have any idea the caloric intake you take in on a regular basis, including the weekends? And let's start there. It's
No,
not even
it really isn't that difficult. And what's crazy is that I even made it difficult for myself
Hmm.
for so many years. So I was like, oh, and you know, you alluded to it earlier, which is like the different diets. And my thing is that I don't care what diet you do. I don't care if you're vegan. I don't care if you're the carnivore. I don't care if you want to do keto. As long as you can do it for the rest of your life. If you look at that diet and you say, I can eat this food for the rest of my life and I'd be happy, and it doesn't bother me at all, right? Then fine, then do it. That's great, right? But it's all about making that lifestyle change. And so most people don't look at dieting or don't look at the nutrition in this way. They're like, I just want to get till I lose weight and then I want to go ham again. Like, I want to go back to the way I was. And you're like, dude, you're just going to get right back to the way you were then. And
Yep.
so it's really teaching people, I guess, the education behind it to simplify this to where it does make sense. And something that simplified it for me was understanding and really seeing food as energy. Like, and that's all a calorie is. It's a unit of measurement for energy. And so I was like, okay, well, my body is is an organic machine that like needs energy to run, and it expends so much energy on a daily basis, and therefore I have to plug it up to the charger, quote unquote, in order to feed it more energy. So I got to feed it calories, and if I feed it too much, then that ruins my battery stores. Like it causes overcharging. That's like, okay, well, if I take my phone and I plug it up to the charger and I leave it on the charger all day, every day, all the time, it'll eventually ruin the battery. And then the battery's going to get shot. And then I'm not going to be able to use it off of the charger because I overcharged the battery for too long. Right. And
Hmm.
so now in order for it to power, I have to have it on that charger. And so I was like, well, when I think about it like that, it's actually pretty simple. So it's like, now I just got to find out how much calories, like how to get to a calorie deficit. So I can eat the things that I want to eat. I can still live the life I want to live. I just got to be cognizant of what I'm eating, actually track it, and then cut myself off so that I don't overeat. Right?
Yeah.
It's literally that simple. It's like, and then for me, prioritizing my protein because I want to be able to, with working out, you want to be able to make sure that you're building your muscles are being repaired with all the micro tears and everything. A lot of people misunderstand. You know, when you go to the gym, you're not building muscle, you're breaking it down slightly. And then it's built through nutrition on outside of the gym. It's built through nutrition and supplementation. So
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, starting people off at calories, it's calories in, calories out, y'all.
yes.
If you want to lose weight, it's calories in, calories out. You can optimize what you're eating over time. You don't even have to do it right away.
No.
But if you don't understand that fundamental process, then we got to start. We got to start. We just got to
And,
start.
and that's why I always try to get every single person that starts me, the first thing I do is start tracking what you eat.
Yeah.
Every single thing. And you'll get used to it. It gets a lot easier. Like
Mhm.
you can start to play around with stuff and you'll make something and you'll be like, well, I don't know how to track the calories with this. Well, you track each individual item and you put it in one thing. It's like, okay, so for let's say you're making a casserole. Well, I'm doing a pound of chicken there. Well, then you're gonna put in a pound of the chicken breast or chicken thighs or whatever it is, and then how much cheese you're gonna use, and then whatever can of cream of mushroom soup or whatever.
You can make a recipe in MyFitnessPal and do it one time and
Yeah,
break it down into how many servings, and boom, you're done. You never have to do it again. It's one and done.
absolutely.
Easy. You can make things easier. But it's that you understand what this costs. It's just like money.
Yeah,
Like you
exactly. Yes, yes, you're so right because it really is. It's like think about your if you look at your calories, right? Your and I also tell people it's not like on a daily basis, more like on a weekly basis. So like if you're like let's say at a 2,000 calorie diet, Well, that means that you're going to have about 1,400 calories a week that you can eat. So if you one day go 2,500, but another day, the next day you go 1,500, your body ends up like processing that the way it's going to anyways. Like it ends up working through those numbers. It's not like, oh well, it's midnight. And now it's just like, oh, it's a new day, and everything you ate, I'm storing it. Like it's gone, it's done. Like it doesn't work that way. So that's why I tell people like look at it for the week, but like it's like a budget, right? If you didn't have the money in the bank account, or keep spending money, no. If you don't have the calories in your bank account to spend, you can't spend it. It's done. Just start tracking it.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
I mean, and that, so it's like, and then like, how do you want to spend your calories? Do you want to spend all of your money on like a Louis Vuitton bag? You get one bag, or do you want to buy a couple like Tory Burches? Like, it's just up to you how you want to spend your money, your calories. Do you want to spend all your money on a pizza, or do you want to have a couple more meals throughout the day?
Yeah.
You choose, man. It's up to you how you would like to do that. But that's really what it comes down to. And then you can, again, always optimize it. But I mean, it's so hard, because I think what most people want to do, and you going back to that word diet and the restriction piece of it, is they want to restrict so much that they see results so fast, but the way they got there is unsustainable and they can't repeat it.
Yeah.
And then what do we do? And that's where that comes in. So people start eating this low calorie out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
They can't, anybody can do that for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks, big deal. But then what do you do after that? So that's where I got lost forever and ever. I'm like, oh, I can do this. So it's not just, I don't just do it for 2 weeks and it's done. Oh, that's not how this works. Oh, weird. So once you get into that cycle of, okay, I'm eating foods that I like, I'm eating in a slight deficit, enough that over the course of a week, it's really not that big. So it's really easy to maintain. You still have energy to work out, to think, to be happy, to enjoy foods out with your friends and family at restaurants. And you have an understanding and awareness of the amount that you're taking, and you're making better choices because you're aware of the foods you're choosing. And you don't have to give up the things that you love. That's how weight loss should be, in my opinion. I feel like you can sail through that much easier. Now, listen, you're not going to lose 20 pounds in 3 weeks. Sorry. But you're going to lose 20 pounds and you're going to keep it off. And it's going to feel like you didn't have to change a whole lot.
Yeah. It's also better. I think it's a lot better to lose the pounds, like 3 to 4 pounds a week at a time, because you're learning the delayed gratification piece of it. You're learning the patience. Think about it like this. In terms of money, again, if you have somebody that wins the lottery, what's almost always happens with somebody that wins the lottery, they end up spending and blowing the money because they don't understand how to actually utilize that money correctly. Like they won too much at too fast. They blow it, they become poor again. And everyone's like, oh man, that would never happen to me. Everyone that's ever won the lottery said the same thing. And guess what? It still happened to them. But if it was somebody that was in business that knew how to use money and make it work for them, and how to build businesses, and how to invest appropriately and diversify all those things, right? Then they would probably be able to do that. But they learned it over a period of time. They probably also would not be spending money going into the lottery. But they learned over time, how to do those things. And that's the same exact concept. Like, you're learning over time what your dietary needs are. Yeah. You're learning over time how to portion control, and you learn on time, like, hey, there's a day I'm going to splurge. Like for me, if I know I'm going to splurge a day, I will eat less the day before, and I'll almost fast all the way up to that splurging. And I'll be like, hey, look, I know I'm going to eat 2,000 calories in this sitting. Like, I'm going to have that Louis Vuitton bag. Like, I'm doing it. And I'm going to do, and I won't eat all day. I will make it to where it's really worth it. I'll eat, and then I won't eat again till the next day. Right. But I can do that. And I still stay under my calories. And the only thing that usually happens with that is I might have a little bit low protein. But typically what I'll do is I'll drink a protein shake like before I start eating, and then afterwards, so I get enough protein where I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable enough that I know that I still got a lot of protein in today. So, it's, I mean, it's so, and like we're sitting, as people are listening, Laura and I are here to talk about this because it really is as simple of calories in, calories out. You just got to start tracking and what do you put in your mouth on a daily basis? And if you start having that level of attention onto what you're putting in your mouth, and you see it just as a budget, as we discussed, or as energy, I think you'll realize like where you can actually start to remove excess.
Yeah.
Like, I
And
don't have to snack on this during these times, right?
absolutely. It's a constant learning experience the whole way through, and you're never done. Like,
Yeah.
you're never done, because every year is different. As we age, things change. I mean, I'm in my early 40s and shit's already changing. There is so much change that goes on, but here's the thing, we don't have to be perfect. And you made a good point about, even with your calories not having to be the same, you have this like range. We got to live in a range, because nothing is 100%.
Yeah.
You can't go to Chipotle and think like, oh man, I'm going to get this 550-calorie bowl because I'm going to order it just like it says online. Uh, I guarantee you get two of those exact same bowls, two different people served it to you, and you're going to have two totally different calorie amounts. But who cares?
Yeah.
You're aware that it's roughly around 550 calories, and you're aware, and now you know that you spent that much and you can't go crazy somewhere else because you don't have the budget for it.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect. It's about understanding that the law of averages is far better in money and in weight loss. And if you can follow that and get rid of the I need to lose weight yesterday, want this now, and put your patience pants on and do things that you like, you're going to enjoy the process so much more. So
Mhm.
much more.
Yeah. It's actually not a bad process. I've enjoyed it a lot more in these past, I'd say the past like 6 months. I've been learning even more about it. I've learned more about nutrition in the past 6 months than I have the last 10 years, just about. Um, just because of how focused I've been on it. And so, but I've enjoyed the process because now I'm like, because I went through a period of time, I was like, I can't eat carbs.
Oh, same.
I can't eat carbs because carbs are going to make me blow up. Carbs are bad. Carbs are the devil. Blah, 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 like, but I love bread. I love rice. I love potatoes, sweet potatoes. Like, give it to me. I want it. Right. But I was like, I can't eat it because when I do, I blow up. And I just didn't understand. I was eating so much fats and so much protein that I was past my budget. And then I would eat a little bit of carbs, and my body naturally was like, I'm going to burn that first because that's easiest. I'm going to burn the carbs. And what happens when I burn that carbs? It has all this energy it doesn't need. And where is it going to, it's going to take that fat and it's going to store it. So I would get bloated and I would start to gain weight really quickly. And I didn't realize that was the process that was happening. I just thought I eat carbs, I get bloated. I stop eating carbs, I'm good. Right. So they're bad for me.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing with the keto. That's why the keto diet is so popular, is because carbs come with a little bit of, so when you digest carbs, we have a little bit of water along with it.
Yeah.
It's how it gets stored in our muscles as glycogen. And so when we deplete our carb stores through something like a keto diet, that water goes with us. So typically when you lose weight quickly on a keto diet or a super low carb diet, you're losing a lot of water.
Yeah.
Not really weight, but it feels cool because that scale goes down and you're like, hell yeah, fuck the carbs. I don't need them. I don't want them. They're terrible for you, blah, blah, blah. But this is coming someone who is a registered dietitian, and into about 3 years of my being a registered dietitian, still feared carbs. So y'all, we're all learning.
Yeah.
It's okay. We all too react to foods differently. And I think that it's important to experience it, but experience it for yourself and not just listen to the fear mongers out there.
Mhm.
Like, everyone, like, some people will just get rid of gluten because they hear it's bad for you. There's nothing wrong with gluten if there's nothing wrong with you and gluten.
Yeah.
It's fine. Now, if your body has a problem with gluten, then you have a problem with gluten. But typically most people don't have an issue with gluten. If you did, you'd know. And there's so much just nonsense out there, and we just need to keep things real simple. Real simple. Do some self experimentation. If you don't like it, doesn't jive with you, you feel bloated, whatever, okay. But dig into it. Like, why? You went into it and you figured out why that makes you feel that way, because you were like overly restricting and then eating it, and it caused that immediate retention, and you're like, oh, I don't like this feeling. But
Yeah.
if you just had carbs throughout the day, you're fine.
Yeah. Now I eat a lot of carbs throughout the day now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I eat carbs all the time. So in fact, before we started recording, I had a big old bowl of rice and chicken. So
Nice.
so it was my feeding time. And it's also important to understand that there's so many different types of carbs. And
Mhm.
so carbs are like a chain, and like if you like a chain of energy. So because there's carbs that are monosaccharides that are like a single link in the chain, and it depends on how quickly they are absorbed by your body and processed for energy and absorbed into the muscles. Then you have I think it's a bisaccharide,
Disaccharide.
a disaccharide, and then you have polysaccharides. So it's like something that's two chain or something that's multiple chains. And
Mhm.
so usually the sugars are going to be the one and two chain, right? And that's something that's like really quick absorption. That's why people have sugar crashes, or you have like kids that'll have sugar crashes, or you think of uh, energy source of carbs, and it's like kind of like a match, like it's like when it goes away, right? Whereas the polysaccharides are going to be the starchy carbs, the rice, the potatoes, the bread, stuff like that, where they're a little bit more complex and they take longer to digest, and they have a little bit of a longer energy source. And so when you look at carbs as a whole, even fiber, right? So when you look at carbs as a whole, that's really loud. I think someone doing my yard. I don't know. So, when you look at carbs as a whole, most people think of carbs and they automatically think only sugar,
Mhm.
right? Or they'll be like, oh yeah, well, and potatoes and chips and stuff like that. But you don't think about like the carbs that are in broccoli with fiber, or with other green vegetables. And so when you are planning out your meals, you want to make sure you have a range of carbs, and understand, like you said something earlier that was actually very profound. Was talk about, like, when people have a lot of emotions when it comes to like all the problems that you dig into when it comes to nutrition, right? And it's because like there's emotions, there's so much emotions that are built into like us eating food, right? Like sugar is the only food on the planet that provides a dopamine rush every single time you eat it, right? That's why there's people that have sugar addictions. Where every food, the first time you eat it, will give you a dopamine rush, which is kind of an emergency response in our body to be like, hey, you're eating something that's new. It could be poisonous, kind of thing, right? It's just letting you be aware. But sugar always gives you dopamine rush, and it's one of the reasons that people get addicted to it is because of that dopamine. And so, not necessarily. I mean, sugars technically, I stay away from sugars as much as possible, but you're still going to have sugars in food. And anything in too much is going to be bad, right? So everything in moderation. So I still do have sugars every once in a while, but it's not like I'm not drinking cans of Coke all the time, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And when you plan out your meals the same way, when you start to learn this stuff, which we're going a little bit higher level right now, but when you start to look at your diet, the more you do it, keeping it simply like how much proteins, carbs, and fats, but then over time, you're going to start looking into the individual, like, okay, well, how much saturated fats, or how much omega 3s, and how much omega 6s am I taking in? And that's where you start to really refine your diet to get the exact results that you're looking to get. Um, but it comes with time, right? And this is something that I've been doing, nutrition, diet, and fitness since 2009, and I just started learning a lot about a lot of stuff until about a year ago. So because a lot of it was like guessing, I was just like my macros, period, done. So all this is to say is that it seems overwhelming at first, even tracking your diet, even just going into MyFitnessPal, and every single time you eat something, weighing it out and documenting it, right? And it seems daunting at first, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. And as it gets easier, you'll start to just know your numbers. Like I know now when I eat 6 ounces of chicken and a cup of rice. It was very easy for me to measure. I already know the macros for that because I've done that meal so many times. I know exactly what I was going to eat. I knew exactly how much macros I had to eat for this meal, and I know what it is. Like I've done it so many times, so it's just very simple. I don't have to I can go on my app and just mark it off, so I know it's for the day. So I just track it. But I'm not going in to be like, okay, well, what do I have, and like doing all that stuff. You get very used to this stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, but going back to what you said, and you're right. I mean, everything gets easier over time. The first thing you do anything is not easy. Like
Yeah,
get better as you continue to do it. But the mental part of it is the biggest part of it. We have enough information out there. We don't need more info. We don't need more, things telling us what's what. We need to really focus on how we're like, where all these thoughts are coming from. Like, why do I get stressed and then all of a sudden I crave cake or something?
Mhm.
Why do I get angry at my spouse and then really want to just dive into the cookie jar? Like, those are the things that I think are probably the biggest issues that I tend to find with my clients, because it is emotional.
Mhm.
Like, food is emotional. We celebrate with it. We uh, we're sad with it. We have all of our holidays around. We're just diving into the holiday season right now, which is a huge time for people to fall off the wagon for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
Food is always the thing. And typically, we're not falling into bags of broccoli. We're not we're not eating, when you get sad or mad or whatever, we're not like, yes, give me those carrot sticks. Like, oh, go team, go. Away, whatever, like it's just so not what we do. And we're sad. We don't go for the things that are healthy, but it's our nature. But
Yeah.
where does it come from? And I think there's a lot of things that we need to recognize about how we mentally think about food, because all of that, like the disaccharides, the monosaccharides, all that stuff, yeah, that's important, but it's not why anyone is more overweight than they need to be.
Mhm.
It's because of their emotions first. Like, you can always learn about that stuff and get into it and nerd out all day long, and I'll nerd out with you. We'll nerd out all together. But the fundamental piece of nutrition that I believe really gets people is your choices under duress. And I don't understand why we can't talk about that more, because it's a problem. It's a huge problem.
Mhm.
You've got like 5 kids, you're running around, you have this and that to do. And I had an hour-long conversation with a family last night who literally had meal plans, like written out, typed out meal plans, Greg. Typed out meal plans, typed out schedule, a typed out grocery list. I don't have that shit. I do not have that. And they're struggling to get it together and to eat healthily. And I'm like, why? It's all right there. You literally have written it all out. Why is this a problem?
Yeah.
They are emotionally stressed to the nines. They cannot overcome their mental state to make those good choices. It is bananas. That's a problem. It's a huge problem.
So there's ways um when I hear you talk about this, what I think of is how, our brains are hardwired be um to be efficient. And so a lot of those efficiencies come from building habits. And so a lot of like 70% of our actions on a daily basis are just habitual action. And so somewhere, sometime, there's an action that took place in that person's life where they were stressed. And when they were stressed, they happened to eat that and it kind of made them feel better. And then it happened a second time and then a third time. And now it's just this habit that's been built. It's just there. Right. And a lot of times people will have habit like, hey, every single time, like for instance, when I was in high school, every single time I came home, the first thing I did, my mom would buy those little bags, frozen bags of the tiny little pancakes. There's like 3 pancakes in a bag. I'd heat that up. I would tear it up and I would pour syrup, and I would like tear them little pieces. I'd pour syrup and I'd sit there and eat that right when I got home as I was pulling out my homework and I was sitting at the table and I was getting my homework done every day. Like, and so if I didn't have it, it would just be, I'd be like, oh man, like mom forgot to get this, like, damn it. And so when I got to college, there was a pattern disrupt because I wasn't getting off the bus and I wasn't walking down the street and I wasn't coming home the same way. So now when I come home from class, it's a completely different ball game. It's a different time of the day. Everything's different. I don't crave pancakes. completely went away. And so a lot of times a pattern disrupt, because all it is, it's a pattern that's been developed in your brain. That's why it's like really difficult, because you almost go on autopilot. You don't even think about it. You're just freaking be like, at like, for instance, for a long period of time at 8:00, 8:30 hit, I was like just fist deep in a peanut butter jar. You know what I'm saying? Because I just wanted to snack at night. It was like peanut butter, popcorn, some other kind of snack, right? And I had to break that habit, because it was hard, because like it was like 8:00, 8:30 hit, and I was like, man, I'm really struggling. Like, I want to eat something. I could have just ate an hour ago and ate dinner. And so what I did was I for a long period of time, I did one meal a day, and I did my meal at 6:30. And so I was so full from eating that like I couldn't. It was like sickening to me. Like,
Mhm.
to eat another thing, I was just like, nope, not have. Like, I can't. I'm about to throw up, right? But it broke the habit, and that interrupt of like 8:30 happening, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. So same thing is there's a pattern there, and if we can find the pattern and we can disrupt that pattern, sometimes it's as simple as like, if you've read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear,
Mhm.
like, when he talks about breaking the habit, like, hey, if you always come home and you want to like do work, and you go in the TV, go in the living room, do work, and then you turn on TV, and the next thing you know, you're not even doing it. Unplug the TV when you go to bed, and put the power cord, like, hide it in the top of your closet, and then forget about it. And then when you go to sit down, you'll go to sit down and turn on TV, and you'll be like, damn it. And then you'll remind you, like, I did that because I didn't get any work done. You're like, I'm gonna get the work done now.
Yeah.
And that's enough of a pattern disrupt, just that one moment, that it gives you realization that you're like, oh. And some people are like, that wouldn't work for me because I would just go get the cord and put it back. No, you wouldn't, bro.
I mean, some people might.
Some
But
people would, just to be like, I told him I would. It's like, you're kind of doing it just to be an ass at this point. Like,
yeah,
it's
and
like,
that
would you rather be right, or would you rather be right? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
and it's like, sounds like you need to go work with someone else. But no, but I mean, I think, no, that's a really good point. I like the pattern disrupt. I think that's really helpful for a lot of things. If you can even allow yourself to recognize that you're allowed to make a pattern disrupt. Like, my best friend noticed that when she came home from work all the time, she was like a snackaholic, like could not stop snacking. And so instead of coming home, we talked about how, okay, put your stuff down, go upstairs, change out of your work clothes, get out of that like pattern, and come back downstairs with the thought of what you would like to have, instead of just like coming home, dropping your bags, and like heading to the pantry.
mhm.
So that, and yeah, that really does help. I think there's a lot to that. And would, I seem to have a lot of thinking of patterns and whatnot. What do we do when we don't realize our patterns have changed, and we're still thinking that our patterns are the same as they were? For example, I have a lot of women who are in their late 40s, early 50s, and they're like, I just like don't understand how I've gained all this weight. And so we'll dig in, and they are, I swear to God, they are still in there like, well, I'm still like 20 something. Where is this weight coming from? You're not what you were when you were 28. You're now 48 years old. You've had 20 years of life experience that has changed your entire persona.
Mhm.
How can you expect to be the same, or have the same circumstances allow the same things to occur now? Things are
Yeah,
changing,
yeah.
and we got to change with them. But this is, you know, this is a struggle that a lot of my clients have, that they cannot understand. Like, they should have started earlier. They should have been more going back to our very beginning, the prevention. If you can start, I don't care how old you are. If you're under 40, please, by God, start right now. But if you can start right now, and you can change your patterns, change your behaviors, change how you think, really dig into who you are, what you want, and what you want your life to be, because we have a long life to live if we allow ourselves to live it. But don't you want to live it well and healthy, to the best of your ability, and functional, and without ailments that you can prevent. Like, to me, it just is bonkers to me that people would just allow themselves to, like, eat their way into some sort of hole and they can't get out of it. And I feel for them. But I do think a lot of it's emotional. A lot of it is misunderstanding where they are, how they can fix it. And we need to get these messages clear, like
Yeah.
clear as day.
Yeah.
It's not you, it's a whole lot of other things, but you can change it anytime.
And that's a great way to say it and talk about it right there is the people should be thinking about, instead of, oh, I've always eaten this way since I was in my 20s, right? Like, you need to start thinking about, how do I want to live if you're 40 when I'm 65? Like, I want to start prepping myself now so that when I'm 65, I still feel as good as I do now.
Yeah.
Well, if you wait to 65 to do that, you waited too long. It's too late. You're gonna be riddled with fucking all kinds of diseases. You're gonna be type 2 diabetic and on the verge of getting nephropathy. All right. That's what I'm just telling you. If you're eating the same shit and you're waiting until then, too late, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, I got to start eating good things and having good habits now so that when I'm 65, I feel like I'm 42. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm a young 40-year-old, right? And I'm still moving around with the best of them. Well, the only way to do that is to eat healthy now in preparation for that, right? Like, I'm 39. I want, when I'm in my 50s, I feel like I'm in my 30s,
Hmm.
right? So that when I have my grandkids, I'm still like running around doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And they're like, I still look super young, right? And I don't look like I'm friggin' like when my dad was in his 50s, he looked like he was in his 50s.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
offense, love you, Dad, but I don't want to be like that, right? And so it's like I have to start making these decisions now in order to build the good habits and the resiliency along the way, right?
Just like money.
Yeah.
You can't just start saving when you're 65.
Yeah. Well,
It's
that's the problem so many people have. But no,
yeah.
like I want to say I'm sure the percentage that I can pull it up right now. I would say it's like 60 or 70% of Americans are like woefully underprepared for retirement. Like, they have not been saving and doing
Mhm.
the right things.
It's all about that prevention. If we can, and listen, again, it's not about perfection. It's just about understanding where you are, what you like, what you can do, what you can keep doing.
Mhm.
And we've got to remember, it doesn't have to be what Joe Schmo does or Lucy Liu does. It doesn't matter. You have to like it and you have to live with it. And that's it. That's really it. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing and shouldn't even want to. I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. I want to eat how I want to eat, but I want to know that what I'm doing is helping me be a healthier version for myself and my family long term. And I mean, I'm in way better shape than I was in my 20s. Hell yeah. Like all
Me
day
too.
long. All
Me
day
too.
long. All
Yeah,
day long. So you can do it. You just got to start right now, today.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, Laura, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It sounds to me like you had the problem you had was you were overweight. You were unhappy with it as a young kid, younger young lady, and so you started to do your own research. You started to understand. You educated yourself, and you learned the ins and outs. What's the impact that it's had on your life?
It has saved me from another 20 years of struggle bus city. And also really prepared myself for the changes that women go through as they get older, to know that I'm not going to be even where I was 3 years ago. I know that if I can keep up with the amount of information, data, and understand where I'm coming from, where I want to go, and how I want, like a roadmap, how to get there, then I will never have the kind of problems I had growing up, not knowing what the hell to do, how to do it, and where I was going to go. I have a roadmap, and I'm fully prepared to get wherever I got to go in a safe and effective way that allows me to enjoy all of my life, all the festivities, and not feel guilty about it one bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast, Laura. It's been awesome having a conversation with you. Real
Thanks.
quick, the last question I have all my guests
Ah,
is did you already watched one? So you're already prepared for this, aren't you?
yep.
Oh man. So you have the opportunity to sit with, talk with, break bread with, learn from three individuals, anyone in history, live or deceased. Who would they be and why?
So I definitely bucket list want to meet Sarah Blakely. Like, I just think she is awesome. I think everything she does is amazing. And I think that she has a heart of gold. And I would love to just, bend her ear about business and her life and how just want to know all of her secrets. I'd actually like, so my dad's deceased, but I wish that I could meet him now because I feel like when he died when I was 26, I don't feel like I was grown up enough to have really cherished that time.
Mhm.
It'd be so cool if I could get back that time and just really like show him what I've done, show him what I've built. Because he was an entrepreneur too. He wasn't very good at it, but hopefully he'd be much more proud of what I've done. And then number three, and maybe this is silly, but I want to meet Jess Sims so bad. I can't even tell you. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
So she's a Peloton instructor, but she also
Ah,
works for Michael Jordan brand, and I just love her. I love her energy. I love her spirit. I love everything about her. I think she's fantastic and does a lot of good for a lot of people, and just love her energy. So I'd love to meet her too.
nice.
Nothing too deep here.
Yeah. No, I like it though. Those are still good. They're all unique ones, the ones I've never had before. I'll tell you that. Um, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been awesome. For those of you watching, then obviously you got some value if you watched until now. So what I ask you is something very simple. Share this content with somebody else that can also grow and learn from it. Someone that can be inspired by it. Maybe someone that can change their diet from it. If anyone wants to reach out to you, Laura, how is the best way they can get to you?
Best way is to visit my website, empowernutrition.info. Hit me up, send me a message, give me a call, book a call with me. I'd love to chat with you. And I will chat with anybody about anything, just for free. I would love to just hear your story, see if I can help. And if I can't help, I'm certainly going to point you in a direction of someone else who can. And maybe it's Greg.
I tell people the same thing. Like, hey, let's have a conversation. I may not be able to help you, and I have turned people away. I'm like, I can't help you.
Yep.
You definitely want to go with this person though. Awesome. So definitely do me a favor, save this, share this content so that they can also find Laura. And if they need help, they can reach out to her. Okay. It takes you 30, 60 seconds in order to rate, review, subscribe, and share, but it means the world to both Laura and I if you do so. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. I'm your host, Greg Birch. Until next time.